appreciate as we sit around here that you belong to a very, very lucky generation. I went to school in the 80s and the 90s, and I went to school entirely in the village. I come from the Narok County, and a district called Transmara. Those of you, and I know this is a huge mix of profiles, who know the village life, would understand what the situation was like those days. The level of development generally across the country was not the same as now. You belong to a lucky generation. We went to school in a place where we had this common animal-human conflicts. Because we are not too far from the Masai Mara Game Reserve, and you may know, the park is not fenced, so animals would cross. So on some occasion, you will actually miss this going to school because there are buffaloes in the school compound. Those were the times. Which is why I say you belong to a lucky generation. The Wings to Fly program, for example. In my time, when I was in Form 3 and Form 4 like yourself, we didn't even have a knees to crawl program, let alone Wings to Fly program like you do today. Count yourselves as very, very lucky as a generation. We need to then move to the next thing. What is our responsibility if we do indeed belong to that generation that is lucky to go to school in the year 2015 and 2016? We need to appreciate what responsibility then falls on our shoulders. I sat here listening to a number of things this morning, including questions that were asked to Dr. Njenga. Very informative conversation that was. There is one thing that I may not have mentioned, and I expected it to come in that situation, especially addressing a number of questions that a number of you raised. Something called self-realization as a person. We sit here this morning, or this afternoon indeed, as a group of more than 5,000. But we must not forget that in this room, we are made up of 5,000 plus individuals. I think why we lose it as young people is because we forget ourselves and think as a group. Group is good, but quality is put together by individuals. It is about what you bring to the group as an individual. There's a lady that asked a question about what actually, it was a gentleman who asked Dr. Njenga what he thought about someone who has never taken beer, never smoked, never done any of those things, because that is right now considered unusual. That inspired me to add this issue to my talk today, the power of character. the power of character. You do not have to do what everybody else is doing. You don't have to. You are an individual. And I want to say the topic is really, really a grave one for us as a generation, for you as a generation. Leadership and giving. Leadership and giving. This is a very important thing because we look around and realize the gaps in our current times are in leadership and are in giving. We are beneficiaries of those of providing leadership and also giving. But can this generation carry it to the next level? I was very disappointed the other day, and I think you will join me in that disappointment because you are black as I am, and you are Kenyan as I am. There was an earthquake. There was a very, very bad earthquake in Nepal. More than 5,500 people are dead. And then I saw on CNN the list of countries that are giving help. None of them, 0 of them, come from Africa. Are we proud of this? Are we proud of this? I challenge you as a generation, because probably that's my generation that has not been able to give anything, not to be proud of that and to do something about it. We belong to a world that has changed drastically. If somebody didn't show leadership and giving, that spirit, you will not be here today. You will not be in the schools that you are in today. You will not be out of your situations that you are in before the Wings to Fly program came in. We have a challenge as young people to change the direction of things. But we have to do a lot to cultivate and nurture ourselves into quality people. Because quality is nurtured. And let me tell you something. A lot of times, I know you have parents there, you have teachers talking to you, and they always say, work hard. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, work hard for who? Work hard for who? You know, our country can be very, very interesting. There are things we do for the benefit of an external eye, not for our own good. And these are things that we challenge the younger generations to reject. I'll give you an example. All of us here have used a matatu. Some time back, there was a minister called John Michuki. John Michuki, the lawgiver, he was very strict. And he said, you must wear safety belts. What did Kenyans do? First of all, the police responded by making sure at every stop, they will check for your safety belts. What did Kenyans do? They said, we know where the roadblocks are. So all this time, don't wear the belt. And when you see the policeman, you just hold it to your side. It's not buckled up. You're actually just holding it. These are small things, but they are destroying our country. They are destroying our future. We need to say from your generation that we will be a generation of values. We'll be a generation that will do things right. We'll be a generation that aspires for better things. We will be a generation that will aspire for a more organized and successful society. We can do that by working hard and succeeding for each and every one of us. When teachers and parents and people like myself talking to you say, work hard, remember, it is for your own good. There's something else I will never ever fail to mention when I meet a group of young people like yourselves. I'll never fail to point out one thing. Youth is not a permanent state. If there's anything that I would really request you to take from my conversation this afternoon is youth, or being young, is not a permanent state. You are in transition. You will be the adults of tomorrow. And tomorrow for sure will come. I know there's this saying that is very tired and cliche-like. You are all being told you are the youth, are the leaders of tomorrow. And some says no, maybe not. But that doubt arises from our misunderstanding of the word leadership. Leadership is not necessarily political leadership. I am a leader in the media, so are some of my other colleagues. You will be a leader in your own fields. And I got a quote here that I thought I should share. Leaders are not, as we are often led to think, people who go along with huge crowds following them. Leaders are people who go their own way without caring or even listening and looking to see whether anyone is following them. Leadership qualities are not the qualities that enable people to attract followers, but those that enable them to do without them. They include, at the very least, courage, endurance, patience, humor, flexibility, resourcefulness, stubbornness, a keen sense of reality, and the ability to keep a cool and clear head even when things are going badly. True leaders do not make people into followers, they make them other leaders. In my own summary, this is the purpose of the Wings to Fly program that has moved in to support your education. This is about molding you into leaders. All of you, we mean each and every one of you to be a leader. All the while, we must remember the power of character. What is your identity? Like I said, and I repeat this because I had the questions at least twice, you don't have to do all those things. It's not a necessary stage in life. You don't have to test alcohol if you don't have to. You don't have to do drugs. It's not a stage. Because sometimes I think there is a misunderstanding. We think that somehow it's a place like these steps that you must step on towards your next step. It's wrong, because that could be your last step. My emphasis to you, dear friends, is on the strength of the individual character and the power of the individual character. And I came here this morning to interact with you. I would like to benefit from hearing from you in terms of your questions and discussion going forward, because I realize we have a minute to the end of our time. George will advise us on whether we are going to take any questions. We are very proud of you, each one of you. This country is investing its future in each one of you. Please use your time well, use the opportunity well. This country needs you.
Thank you, Linus, for that inspiration. And I want to believe that scholars, what you are getting here, you'll never get it anywhere else. And that's why I told even those guys who wanted to go to school that they will go back to school and find their books there. But when you come here back in Kasarani, you will not find people. And you will not find inspiring leaders like Linus here. And we are going to take only 2 questions. I know there are some scholars who are really interested in things to do with the journalism and public speaking. So I will take only 2 questions, and then I request one scholar from here to give a vote of thanks. So where are the 2 questions? Maybe I have one there. Now one more, and I have one there. Okay, thank you. Those are 2. Then another scorer here will give votes of thanks to Linus. So we start with Wekesa.
I'm Nyongesa Steven, Chabakali Boys High School, Bungoma branch. I have a passion in media works. I love the field because I want to get an airplay of my shows that can tap and nurture young talents. Having accessed some of the media houses and contested in many journalist contests where I have won trophies, but I lack a mentor. And all the people who come and talk to us, the speakers, emphasize on mainly engineering, they talk of medicine. Does it mean that media is not a best field that someone can venture into it?
Thank you, Wekesa. Very good question indeed. I deliberately didn't speak about any career because I know each and every one of you will end up in some sector or the other. But speaking of journalism, we have had a lot of good talent going into the media industry. The media is a very important part of our society. It connects the rulers with the ruled. It connects government with the governed. It holds government accountable to the people. Because remember, after voting, voters way back in Western Kenya, for example, have very little way of accessing the people they voted for and hold them to account. That is the job of the media. But I'm not going to say and encourage and say, you know, let's choose this career or the other. I know you have your choices, but just to mention, as early as Form 2, where I was a member and chairman of the journalism club, I was very, very clear on what I want to be, and I'm not in journalism by accident. By Form 2, I was a reporter in my school. Thank you.
Next question.
I'm Lucy from Chania Girls, and the question is, do you think the media is right in the way it airs its criticism concerning the government, in that we are creating an attitude of like an anti-government attitude out there in the public, that our government is not doing enough to our country, and in as much as we want to make the government accountable for its actions.
Thank you. A very good question indeed. Are we too critical of government as media? Sometimes. The duty of media is to hold government to account. So we will say what government has done right and also point out what government has not done right. We all know, for example, the recent incident in Garissa. And the media was very active in raising the question of timelines on how fast or how slow the response was. It falls very much within the responsibility of the media to do that. The media must never be cheerleaders of the government. Never. So far they're getting it right.
Okay, I'm Muntat Linda Isele from Narok branch, Moiti Girls. Okay, I would like to ask Mr. Kakai, what motivated you to go on with life despite of the challenges you used to go through when you are going to school? And I would like to thank you so much for coming to talk to us and encouraging us. But I'm so much motivated by you as my fellow Maasai. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you very much. What motivated me was very simple. I just wanted to be a witness to history. The first person to witness history, in most cases, will be a journalist. And so far, I've actually witnessed quite a number of that, covering stories across Africa, covering the civil war in Congo, the civil war in Liberia, and covering a lot of stories within here in Kenya, covering the Burundi peace process, and recently, of course, moderating the presidential debate. You always get a frontline seat to history. That is very motivating. That's why I went there.
Okay, I'm Julius Sekiro from Lenana School, and I'd like to ask a question. Before, I had passion in journalism and mass communication because of the talent that I have in public speaking. But when I went to high school, I developed an interest in law. So I wanted to do law and journalism at the same time. So is it possible to do the two careers at the same time as a double major, in that you do law and you do journalism in the university? Thank you.
Terrific question. Yes, it's possible to do any other career and journalism. In fact, in our current setup across media houses, we are encouraging the emergence of specialized talent in our teams. We, for example, do have anchors and reporters whose background is law. We also do have people who have done medicine and then gone to journalism. So nothing should stop you from ending up in journalism. In fact, I would encourage you to start with your preferred and then journalism as your next choice. So it's very possible. Okay, I want to thank you very much once again for this opportunity and your attention. I'm totally honored to be with you this afternoon. We are very supportive of your endeavors. You the very best. We know with you the future of our country is assured. Thank you very much.
Let us give a better hand. So you have heard for yourself that Linus is one of the news editor in the nation. In fact, I was telling him that we have been missing him. There before he was very frequent in the TV. But Linus, I have not been seeing you. Have you been seeing him? And we understand the work of an editor is that, in fact, I believe that he even supposed to be preparing for tomorrow's news. But he sacrificed his time to come and be with us. And Linus, we really appreciate your time and what you have given unto us. It shows how important these young men and women are in the eyes of the nation. And we thank him too for the work they are doing, because the media houses are the mirror of what is happening in all the corners of our nation. And therefore, Linus, we are so grateful for sacrificing your time and giving these scholars such an inspiring session.